Where are the Scottish Conservatives at right now? Where have they been historically? Where is it possible for them to get to?
Where they are right now is roughly where they have been historically. So in the first election to the Scottish Parliament, they were third with a vote share in the teens and a number of seats in the teens. I've been involved since 2002, so not long after the Parliament started in one form or another, either involved in the party or as an observer. And actually, if you look at the election result in July, that was pretty much where they also were in the teens, vote share in the teens, behind two parties of the centre-left. So, in a sense, not much has changed. Obviously, there was something different in the middle, in the post-referendum years under Ruth Davidson, which we'll probably discuss. But all the indications are, if you look at the polling and think the polling is in any way accurate, the indications are that they will be in 2026 where they were in 1999, which is third with a vote share in the teens and a number of seats probably in the teens as well.
Just before we bring Geoff in, can I put this email to you from Ross, who listens to the podcast? Thank you, Ross. He says, as ever, great work, which is very nice. He says, though, I want to take issue with Andy's stance that it doesn't matter who wins the Scottish Conservative leadership contest. He partially saves himself, says Ross, by highlighting a centre-right party is significant in democratic politics. But his view that whoever wins is irrelevant because they won't be in government sounds short-sighted to me. Perhaps a question for Andy. What value does the Scottish Conservative leader deliver in opposition? Surely that value varies depending on the chosen leader, irrespective of the party's prospects of entering government. And if not, why?
I'm glad I partially redeemed this.
Just partially, though.
It is the centre-right. It is important to have a strong centre-right. All countries, all democratic countries need a strong centre-right, whether they're in opposition or in Parliament. We saw yesterday with the financial statement, there really isn't a centre-right counterbalance fiscally in this country. We don't really have a strong enough alternative view as to how to run the economy. All other countries have it, even the Scandinavians that we talk about a lot as being very left-wing countries. That's not true. They all have strong centre-rights. They're very often in government. The reason I said it didn't matter who wins this contest, and it sounds a bit brutal the way that Ross put it, but there you go, I stand by it, is because there isn't really any evidence that the person who is the leader of the party influences the vote. I'm sure Ruth Davidson will be mentioned. She's been mentioned a lot in this campaign so far. I thought Ruth Davidson was a really, really good leader. I thought in a different world she could have been First Minister, actually, but not for this party. Mm-hmm. Because if you look at it just in terms of raw data, Ruth Davidson was leader from 2011, and then 4 years, a long time, 4 years after she became leader in the 2015 general election, the Tories got less than 15% of the vote. It was the worst result they'd ever had in a general election. And only a year later, it gets propelled into the 20s percentage and 31 seats. Now, it needs a bit of investigation as to why that happened. It happened after the SNP got almost every single seat at Westminster in 2015 and put Indie Ref 2 very firmly back on the table. And at the same time, Jeremy Corbyn took over the Labour Party and said he didn't care about the union. He wasn't interested in unionism. So a whole bunch of Labour voters wet the bed and started voting for the Tory party. Now, and this continued for several elections. And then after Ruth Davidson left, Jackson Carlaw was in charge. Remember Jackson Carlaw, right? In charge for 2019 general election, 25%. Douglas Ross got the highest vote share and kept all 31 seats. So I know that we want to think that the identity and personality of the leader makes a massive difference to the vote share. There's no evidence for it, really, at all.